Kick-Ass Irreverent podcast about games. With a Kick-Ass Irreverent gaming podcast from Respawn, from Affable Idiots. Yay! We are the number one podcast where you can request to make out with me in the chat.
Amp himself up for that.
Oh, yeah, I amped myself up so hard. While that intro video was playing, I was just like... it was so good. Oh, shit.
It went from, I'm going to do something, Holden. Wait, no, I'm just going to do it. You're going to love it. You start shaking.
That wasn't even the thing I was referencing. The thing I was referencing is coming a little bit later.
Whoa. This episode just got really intense immediately off the bat. Boom.
How intense is it? So intense, we're going to have a little bit of console war on here today because the PS5 is slapping that ass of the Xbox Series X. And, well, the Xbox is not getting that hot. Whew, see what I did there? See what I did there? Not getting that hot because people aren't interested, and also, it's pretty cool. But not cool. Or is it? I'm Chad Michaelinas, one of your hosts. We also have with us here Holden, Beautiful Delicate Flower DePardo.
That is my full name. Hi, how's it going? I'm Holden, Beautiful Delicate Flower DePardo.
Beautiful Delicate is hyphenated. It's a family name. We've also got the dreamiest fan base of all time joining us from all over Unglobo right now, just like Pork Chop 118YT in the chat. God, that intro is so loud, says Pork Chop. Well, you know what? Lick my balls. Say it all the time. Every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, you can put us in your ears with your favorite podcast service, or you can put us in your butt if you put us on a pop socket and you've re-engineered how to put one of those in your butt. You can also put us in your eyes with YouTube. You can go to this is jazz right here. YouTube. Go to YouTube. Watch us. Do you want to watch us live? Twitch.tv/Affable Idiots. You can do that right now every Sunday night at around 8:30 Eastern Time PM. Non-daylight savings. I am exhausted.
Yeah, that's a lot of energy you put out there.
I just have to catch my breath a bit, and then we're going to have a second high right now. Like we are doing right now. Today's episode is brought to you by Idiotas Afables del Mundo, La Ciudad de Mexico. I'll see your dad in Mexico, which we will tell you about later in this episode. As I mentioned earlier, we've got some PS5 v Xbox Series X news coming up. V short. Right now, though, we're going to take a little break and talk about what we've been playing this week. Holden, it seems like you've been doing some real chill things. Playing some Animal Crossing, some Pikmin 3, some Pokemon 3 demo, some Breath of the Wild. I think you mean Breath of Fire. Holden, tell me all about what you played this week and why. I will articulate every syllable with a clap.
I started off with Horizon Zero Dawn. It's our BARF game this month, so I'm playing it for that reason.
What does BARF mean?
BARF is backlog accomplishments with Respawn and friends. Every month, or 2 months in the case of Horizon, we play a game that's in our backlog. In this case, in my backlog, not in your backlog. You've platinumed it, right?
Well, I did want to play it again before Horizon Forbidden West came out, so...
And I wanted to play it for the first time before that game you just mentioned comes out. So, been playing that, but we'll talk about that later on in the month. I played Breath of the Wild, which... It's like a mistake, because the whole point of playing Horizon Zero Dawn was to play at distance from Breath of the Wild, so I could give it like a fair shake. But then I got a new TV, and I really want to see Breath of the Wild on that, and I've just been pouring a lot of time into Breath of the Wild now. But I will say, it's not impacting Horizon, because I'm going into Horizon with the mindset of, this is a story game, and I'm going for the story and the narrative. Whereas before I was thinking, it's primarily an open world game, and it is. But I feel like approaching as a story-based game is probably the better way to do it, and I'm enjoying it more for that reason. But I can't talk about that. I might not even like it. You don't know that until the end of October.
Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck cares? All of you do. End of the month.
Hey, how's it going, Dallas, you sexy beast?
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Dallas for giving us a $20 tip in the chat. I'm doing this new thing where I dream board things and I just say them out loud, and hopefully one day they happen.
Absolutely. Like, one day I would love for Chad to play more Animal Crossing New Horizons. It seems very likely.
That's not what you do. You don't say, I would like for this to happen. You say,
oh, okay.
Chad, you played a lot of Animal Crossing this week. And then one week it will end up being true.
I see. Gotcha. So this week I played Animal Crossing with Chad, and it was a grand old time. We just fished together and caught bugs. I'm in the process of revamping my whole town, and I'm kind of just like Chad was doing jazz earlier. I'm doing like the jazz equivalent with Animal Crossing, where I'm just kind of building shit and like paving the way for stuff and just hoping it works out. So we're gonna see how that plays out. But it's good jazz.
That is good jazz. I don't know how it compares to my jazz I was just doing, but it's jazz, baby.
Extremely similar. Like Brent, I'm just vibing.
Just vibbing, as the kids say. Like Gibbons. Tell me about this Pikmin 3 demo. So Pokemon 3 came out on the Wii.
Oh, no,
I had
our
ice cream
video is
before
frozen. Brent, is it frozen for you as well? Let us know. We'll see.
No,
what we
it's
can do.
not. Dallas just has the internet of a homeless.
Pikmin 3.
Yeah, tell me about Pikmin 3.
Speaking of homeless, it's actually relevant here. You are leaving your home to go to other planets to find food, and you crash land on the planet. You are now homeless, living on this planet, trying to find food, and you meet these little Pikmin creatures who... You see that segue there? Wasn't that a good segue?
I see it. That's what they call Yaz, baby.
I'm going to call myself out on how awesome that was. That's how proud I am. So
God, this is a jazzy podcast. Thank you, Ryan Gosling, for saving jazz so we could do it on our podcast.
So Pikmin 3, basically you're collecting these little Pikmin characters who follow you around. I guess they're like animals on this planet you're on, and any obstacle in front of you, you throw the Pikmin at it and they take care of it. So if there's a bunch of mushrooms in the way of your path, you throw some Pikmin at it and they chisel away at the mushroom. There might be this wall, you can throw them at the wall and have them charge at it, so they're all banging on it until it breaks down. And you're basically just kind of managing these different Pikmin as you kind of go through tiny little puzzles. And I say puzzles, it's not like you move from one puzzle to the next puzzle, but you're kind of like in an open area that you're exploring and kind of figuring out how to properly navigate it. And I gotta say, it's actually kind of more enjoyable than I thought. I did think to myself, oh, I'm not going to get this game, though, mainly because I don't want to play this part I just played over again. But then I found out it has save data that carries over.
Uh-huh.
So now I'm kind of like, well, fuck. Like, I can actually see myself getting this and enjoying it because it's kind of relaxing. And
when does it come out? December?
Peaceful. No, it comes out next week, I think.
Shut the front door.
I'm pretty sure, but I have too much to play until then. So
that's exactly right.
Until next gen comes out, so I don't know if I can fit it in.
Did you finish Origami King? Did you finish all the Super Mario worlds? Did you finish anything else?
No.
Final Fantasy VII Remake?
I think I'm just not going to finish that game.
You ignorant slut.
That's what I'm playing. Chad, you've been playing, looks like Horizon Zero Dawn as well, and then something you've never played before.
I have played Horizon Zero Dawn this week. Again, jumping back into it. Got the platy already, got the super armor, got all the weps out there just sweeping up some dinos in the open plains, climbing up mountains, not with my hands, but doing it with my legs, because that's how you do in HZD. We'll talk more about that at the end of the month as we talk about our barf game this month. But I do want to talk a little bit about the disappointment that is Destiny 2 Festival of the Lost this season. What? That's right. Destiny 2 Festival of the Lost is kind of a stinker. It's the Halloween thing. It's you can put on a mask and you can be all sorts of people or jack-o'-lanterns or whatever the fuck you want. But there's this... It's a lot of the same as last year. Last year they introduced the Haunted Forest, which was just a spooky reskin of the Infinite Forest from... I know you know nothing about this, but I assume some of our listeners do. The Infinite Forest from Mercury, and you run it, and you have 15 minutes total. You have to kill a bunch of enemies, then fight a boss, then kill a bunch of enemies, fight a boss, and do that as many times as you can in 15 minutes. But the rewards at the end, the only difference this year is that there are 5 chests you can open up, but you need cipher decoders to get them. And you get cipher decoders from other events, blah, blah, blah. But the problem is the rewards fucking suck a baby bottle. They suck a baby bottle pop. They're the same guns as were last year and the year before are the rewards this year. And it's the same, like, masks, a couple of new masks. There's candy. It's just not as fun this year. However, some of the best armor ornaments that you can get are available. The Warlock has this dope Dracula, like with vampire fangs on his helmet, and then the like frilly shirt and the suit jacket. It looks super cool. And then the Titan has like a Frankenstein, almost Power Ranger looking monster kind of armor. Looks dope as fuck. And then the coolest one of all, Holden, is the Hunter, who's a werewolf. And it looks so cool. Like the coolest armor of any armor that's ever been available on the planet Earth, Mercury, Titan, Io, Jupiter, the Fallen Kingdom, the 7 realms of Lothlorien Galadriel's forest. And Matt Vieira comes in here, takes one look at it and goes, He's the one who plays as a hunter. I don't play as a hunter. Dallas doesn't play as anything other than a curmudgeon-y old man. Because he hates playing that game with us, but he can't get enough of it. And I play as a warlock. So anyone who could be cool looking would be Matt, and Matt's just like, Like, what a fucking idiot. I love that guy, though. Anyway, so yeah, Festival of the Lost, meh. But we've got 4 weeks. We've got 5 campaigns left. We beat the Red Dawn, or Red War, Red Legion, Red whatever the fuck. We beat the original storyline. We're working through Curse of Osiris. We got to do Warmind. We got to do Shadowkeep. We got to do whatever the fuck is next before everything comes to fruition. Speaking of coming to fruition, I have a limited edition, only the cool kids can get it t-shirt brought to you by Destiny on Bungie.net because I got 15 triumphs. 15 triumphs in the Moments of Triumph thing where you have to like complete the raid, complete another raid, but also find all the lost sectors on the moon and get all 3 exotics from this season and reach max level, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I got 15 of those. It was quite an accomplishment, which means I have the ability now to buy a shirt on Bungie.net. Destiny has always kind of done this. If you're one of the first people to beat the new raid, then you might be able to go buy a limited edition jacket that other people can't. Or they have raid rings. I'm also eligible to buy like 4 weird tokens for something. Anyway, you can always buy these things if you have $777,777. But if you do these things, then you get a discount code that reduces it to like $25 or $30. So I have that coming. They have
so
like
you can still buy the
shield
stuff generally, even if you don't get the triumphs.
Yeah, you can buy the stuff generally for literally $750,000. Or
wait,
seriously, like if you do not have the discount code from actually completing the thing in game, it is $777,777 on Bungie.net.
How many people do you think have bought that?
None.
Do you think anyone has?
Nobody's credit card has a limit on it that will allow them, unless they have a black card.
Well, do you think Bill Gates' like kid maybe wants to do this?
Bill Gates doesn't have a kid. He has a demon spawn.
Oh no, Chad, you don't believe in QAnon, do you?
Oh, I do, and everyone is a lizard. So that's really cool. It has a little shield on the sleeve of it too, and I put my gamer tag. You could personalize it, so I have a Destiny 2 Moments of Triumph 2020 with my name on it. It's gonna be fucking dope. Anyway, I'm all high on Destiny 2 right now. I also got to the point where I'm like, I think I've done everything that I want to do before a solo, at least. Like I don't feel like I need to play the game anymore without Matt and Dallas because we need to do the story mode stuff. But like I've gotten all the exotics I feel like I'm gonna get before Beyond Light comes out next month. I've done all the things I think I want to do solo. But I want to do a dungeon, which you can only do with 3 people. And it's matchmaking. It's basically a shorter raid with 3 people. And I want to do the rest of the story content. But gotta wait on my boys for that. That's what I've been playing this week. Holden, let's graduate from playtime to main quest. We're going to hold on just a second while you raise your finger and tell us a little ditty.
Yeah, so I actually forgot to mention, it's not quite playtime, but it's relevant. I finally got the Sony website to work where I could sign in and pre-order PS5 games. So I finally did that. I got Demon Souls, of course.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Sackboy: A Big Adventure, because, I mean, come on, that looks like fun, and I want to play that with everyone. Looks great. And then I got Godfall. And the only one I hesitated on was Destruction All-Stars. I'm still open to getting it, but we've seen so little of it. I kind of want to see what reviews say before I
It's
put
a
my money down on
first-party car, beat 'em up, smash 'em up, shoot 'em up. It's going to be fun, dude.
We'll see. We'll see.
Just don't get HelloFresh sponsored for a week, and you'll be fine.
All right, now we can move on to the main quest. And
Moving on, we're shaking things up a little bit this week. This week, we are going to start with our main quest, and then we're going to move on and talk about all the other shit. We're going to call that something else in just a little bit. Our main quest this week is PS5 crushes like a Mountain Dew can that is empty and devoid of life. The Series X in pre-orders.
That's the whole headline right there.
What this headline should say is Sony made more PS5s than Xbox made Xboxes. Here's the title. 72% of U.S. next-gen pre-order customers chose PS5. Says Marie Delisandri at gamesindustry.biz. Here are a couple of little stats to break down. 1. VGM, Video Game Magazine, ran a survey between September 23rd to 25th with a sample of 511 Americans. Keep that in mind. Americans. We all know how much they lie, so this could be all for nothing.
You say they like you're not an American, too.
I don't identify as American until Joe Biden is president. 15% of the 511 actually managed to pre-order a next-gen system. So right there, 85% of people didn't even get a system. Of that 15%, here's a breakdown. About 3/4 of them, 72%, got a physical PS5. 10% of them got a digital PS5. 30% got a Series X, and 8% got a Series S. And I know you're saying, wait a minute, that's a lot more than 100%. And it was like, fucking math, fool. Some people got 2. So yeah, right there, 3/4 of them got a PS5, and the most Series X comes in at under a third of people got a Series X, who actually managed to get one. Here's another stat for you. About almost a third, 29%, tried to pre-order but were unable. Of that third of the people surveyed, over half of them, 58%, wanted a physical PS5. A fifth of them, 21%, wanted a digital one. And then when it comes to Xbox, 40%, 2/5 wanted a Series X, and about 11% wanted a Series S. What's interesting to me there is in both the I was able to get this console for better or for worse, whether it's the one I wanted or not, the physical one out, as well as the ones who wanted to buy something, the physical one out as well. Of those interested in PS5, almost half of them, 45%, say exclusive games was the most enticing factor, whereas when asked about Microsoft's consoles, Game Pass attracted the most interest.
And that was a 42%. I realized I forgot to put that in the note, but that was 42%.
42% said Game Pass attracted the most interest. So Holden, there are a couple of things we can glean from this. 1, a lot of people want to pre-order and they couldn't get it. 2, a lot of people are choosing the physical editions over the digital editions. 3, no matter what, you can't fucking get these consoles anywhere. So they sold through everything they made. So this, as I mentioned in the very beginning, is Sony made more PS5s than Microsoft made Series X's.
There was still more interest, though, in getting a PS5 over getting a Series X for people who weren't unable to get one. So even if there was an even amount and they didn't sell out, the interest is still, the demand is still higher for PS5 than it is Series
About
X. But you're right.
18% higher.
It's clear that Sony made more consoles.
Yeah. And they've been telling us that for a long time. Like they said, we're going to have more consoles available than we did for the PS4 launch. We're going to have more than the PS4 launch. And it didn't seem that way when pre-orders came around and everything disappeared in a half a second and we all cried and threw our controllers against the wall. But, yeah, it seems that they did. Now, what I'm curious about is, did Microsoft not make as many consoles because it's not a priority for them? I've been maintaining for the last 6 months that Microsoft is not selling a next-gen console. They are selling Game Pass now. Like, that is their platform. That is their thing that they're pushing. And their consoles are just one way you can experience that. Whereas Sony is pushing a console, and the console has everything you need on it. So I'm not sure whether they didn't produce enough because they couldn't, or they didn't produce enough because it's not a huge priority in their roadmap and their business plan right now. And by huge priority, I mean obviously it's a big priority for them, but it's not as much of a priority as physical consoles were for Sony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess what's interesting to me is pretty much everything you mentioned there. What's interesting to me is that there's so much more interest in the PlayStation 5 than the Series X. I've been saying for a while now that despite Xbox One's really poor marketing and lead up to their next gen launch, well, next gen being the Xbox One launch, they still sold the same number of units as PlayStation at launch. And I don't think that's going to be the case this time. And this is surprising to me because I kind of figured you'd still see within the first week of launch, like, hey, here are the sales numbers. They both sold 1 million in one day. Like, that's not going to be the headline this time. And I think you're right. It's because Microsoft didn't make as many consoles as PlayStation did. But I just think that's going to, like, they should have made as many as they could to match Sony. Not that they could have known how many Sony is making.
Right.
But I don't know, like, that's not going to be a great look coming into this launch when everyone knows that Sony clearly won the next generation, or last generation, I mean. So that's really interesting to me because it's very obvious that Sony is now the number one player. There's no half and half. Like, I think this kind of solidifies it. We can't just blame it now on the poor launch of the Xbox One and the repercussions of that. Like, even with Game Pass, people are still more interested in getting a PlayStation 5.
And not just a PlayStation 5, a $500 PlayStation 5.
Yeah. I do wonder if the reason there's a disparity between Xbox Series X, or Xbox Series X and S, and the PlayStation 5 is that ultimately the digital edition is using the same exact components as the physical version, outside of obviously the disk drive, and the casing is different as a result of the disk drive being absent. But whereas Series X and Series S have fundamentally different parts, different motherboards, I mean, there's so much more there that maybe they had to reduce the number that could be manufactured. It couldn't be as streamlined as, say, the manufacturing line for PS5. That's possible. That's a factor. But I think this is kind of like one of the more important, kind of less talked about stories of the week. Because I haven't heard too much about this. I'm like, this is actually pretty significant.
Yeah. And ultimately, I mean, when we look at the numbers too, they sampled 511 people. 15% wanted to get one, or 50% got one. 29% wanted to get one but couldn't. Yeah. So, like, interestingly enough, that's still only 45% of people actually are interested in getting a next-gen console right now.
Yeah, that's surprising
another
as well.
statistic too that kind of was overlooked.
Yeah. It's interesting for sure. I'm very curious what this means for kind of seeing how this plays out now. And to go on the whole Game Pass thing, you're 100% right that Xbox is not selling a console, they're selling Game Pass. The lower shipments could also just be a sign that they mean that more seriously than we had anticipated.
Yeah, so and they're putting resources. They're putting resources elsewhere into backwards compatibility, into Game Pass and xCloud, into developing something for iOS that we'll see in a little bit.
Yeah, and this also doesn't mean that people are interested in Microsoft. It literally could just mean that people are so on board with Microsoft's vision that they don't want to buy the hardware anymore. They just want to go ahead and use xCloud. Like, that's also possible. This isn't inherently a bad thing for Microsoft. This could actually be really good for them. I don't know. It's hard to kind of know. Like, we only have a few sets of numbers here, but it's right. Hard to know kind of how this is going to sway. So I'm really, really curious now about Microsoft's vision. But obviously Sony's doing great.
Sony's doing great. Yeah. I think you're right. This could mean that, like, people are saying, oh shit, yeah, maybe I'll get a 1X, maybe I'll get a 1S and continue gaming next gen on that, or do it on my Android phone. And like I said a couple months ago too, is like, I don't think a success metric is number of consoles sold anymore. Like, that might not be a thing that is worth looking at when it comes to comparing these two consoles now, or these two. I hesitate to even call them consoles now. It's, I guess, video game
platforms,
publishers. I don't platform. I guess we'll go with platforms.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I wonder if we're going to transition to units, like software units sold. I wonder if that's going to be the new
But
metric.
Game Pass fucks that up.
They may find a way to bundle that in where it's like, every time someone downloads a game, that's a quote unit sold. Maybe that'll be the metric for Microsoft. They'll say games downloaded. That's going to be their metric.
But then you don't even have to download them. You can stream them now.
Stream downloaded, same difference.
It gets so
Same
difficult.
difference.
But then that metric really means nothing against Sony because Sony doesn't have an equivalent of it. And so it's like, why even report on that metric if there's no way to tell whether that's good or bad?
Yeah, and now we've always had Sony and Microsoft doing their thing, and then Nintendo off doing something else entirely. And now it's really like Sony's doing its own thing, which is kind of more of the traditional approach that we're used to. Nintendo's doing their pick of daisies in the field, but it turns out into magic pixie dust every time. And then Microsoft is on this completely different path now as well. So it's interesting how that's going to play out.
It is indeed.
And then there's Luna. Who knows where Luna's going to play into it as well.
Luna. Ooh. Holden, that was our main quest this week, talking about the little console breakdown with the percentages and the goddamn and the Jello and the pudding and the Bill Cosby. But continuing on, we've got some other things that are kind of related. There are our quest log, and we're going to call this the Platty Platty Cleanup. We've beaten the game, but now we're going to finish the other side quest and clean all this shit up. Get that Platty. Going through the Platty Platty Cleanup for Microsoft, we have a few stories here that are pretty big. It says Xbox GM talks about the recent Xbox Series X heating reports, says Dennis Patrick at GameRanks. Some background. There have been people reporting that apparently the Xbox Series X runs hot enough that it might be uncomfortable to the touch, or people even sometimes saying like the expansion slot on the back might burn you while it's in rest mode. However, Aaron Greenberg at Microsoft, when asked on Twitter if that should be concerning, Aaron said that the heat coming out of the Series X shouldn't be much different than the One X. They should be similar in their temperatures while running. So who knows where these rumors are coming from of all of this happening and the things getting hot, but apparently they have very similar heat outputs. It's also it's important to note that these consoles are engineered, all technology that runs and has a computer in it is engineered to dissipate heat, to let heat out, so it should get warm. Anytime you get a new phone and it's working really hard to put all your new information on it, your phone's going to get hot. And it's engineered in a way that all of that heat goes out rather than baking the inside of the console or baking the inside of the phone. Mm-hmm. So that's worth being said as well. They're like, it's doing its job if it gets warm.
Yeah, especially if it's doing a lot more. And these consoles are definitely doing a lot more. They're also very compact. The Xbox Series X is a very compact device.
Yeah, I don't think we can say the PS5 is compact, but the Xbox Series X is definitely.
We'll talk about that one later on. So this whole getting warm thing, I first heard this and I was hearing or maybe I was just inferring, but it seemed like people were being, this is an extreme situation. You could burn your hand. I felt like people were talking about this in a very extreme, this is terrible for Microsoft. Return to the Red Ring of Death is something I had heard, and I'm like, whoa, this sounds serious. And then I saw one of the videos. I think it was from Giant Bomb, of where this kind of started, or one of the situations that kind of got this ball rolling. And the guy is holding a Series X, and he's like, and he literally just says, oh, it's kind of warm. And then he touches his expansion port. It's like, oh, that's kind of warm too. I'm like, oh, kind of warm? I'm not worried about that. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's like you were kind of saying, technology does that. It's like when
and people exactly like you said, like the Giant Bomb podcast, people are saying this and then people are taking it out of context. Another one that a lot of people were quoting is, I think it was Game Informer show. The guy described it as toasty, and people were like, "Oh God, that means it is hot as a toaster." Oh my God! And he's like, "No, it's just it's warm to the touch."
And I'm going to just spoil something that we're going to talk about later on, but I wonder how much this has to do with. Actually, no, we've talked about this in previous weeks. I feel like if we hadn't had a story within the past week of how the PS5 ran so cold, it was literally cold to the touch after 80 minutes, which is very unusual. That just shows that Sony did a really good job with the cooling. If we didn't have that comparison, how much this would actually be a big deal.
Yeah,
and I don't think it would be at all. Because this is like my PlayStation gets really hot. Your Switch, well, you can hear the fans blaring because it's trying to make sure it doesn't get super hot. Like, this is fine. And you're not touching it. It's a box you put in your living room entertainment center. You leave it there. You're not even touching it. It's not going to burn a hole through your entertainment center and fall through.
On top of it.
Well, I mean, that's not a bad idea if it gets warm enough. I mean, two birds, one stone, right?
Yeah.
Play some games, make some pancakes. Like, great idea. Don't actually do that. I can't believe like the.
Only do it if you're putting your Series X sideways. Do not cook pancakes on top if you're not doing it sideways, or you're gonna pour it into the grate on top, and the fan's gonna spit it right back in your face. You're gonna go blind, and then you're gonna knock it over. It's gonna fall off and hit the ground and die.
I would feel really bad for the Microsoft support employee who has to deal with a quote liquid damage with pancake batter Xbox Series X.
Moving on to the next Microsoft platy cleanup, work in progress. Microsoft seems to be bundling a bunch of Bethesda's best games together on Xbox Series X, says Brett Makedonsky at Destructoid. Making the most out of their most recent acquisition, we have two rumored collections coming down the pipeline, one being the Arcane Collection, all the games developed by the Arcane Studio, with Dishonored, Dishonored 2, Dishonored Death of the Outsider, and Prey. And then another collection, which is the Wolfenstein Alternate History Collection with Wolfenstein The New Order, Wolfenstein The Old Blood, Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus, and Wolfenstein Young Blood. These bundles have apparently been rated for Series X. Holden. Unusual, good move, bad move, do we care?
I think it's setting the tone of what to expect from the Bethesda acquisition. I think that's... If this is true or not. I think it's interesting it's been rated for Series X, especially since if this is real, I don't think they started working on this after the acquisition. They probably were working on this well before the acquisition, considering their touch-ups of 8 games. Decent-sized games, too. So, I believe it. I think it's legit. I think it's a good move for Microsoft, too, because they need something to say it's exclusive to the Xbox. And I think this is kind of them, if it is real, drawing the line in the sand and saying, no, these things are going to be on the Xbox platform exclusively.
Yeah, I think going forward, this is a good way to kind of hint at that coming down the pipe. I think that, obviously, these titles are going to make their way to Game Pass.
Yeah.
I think Doom Eternal is the first one that we saw most recently come to it, and all of these are going to make their way there eventually. So it's not necessarily like we need this bundle right now in order to play it on next gen. And what? No, it's going to be there with Game Pass day one. It doesn't matter, not day one, but it'll be there eventually. But I do think that this is probably a way for them to put out a definitive version of these games that is Microsoft branded. So when you buy a disc,
that's a good point,
of Wolfenstein, it now has Microsoft on the box. It has Microsoft when you boot up the game and their logo in the beginning. So this is their way of saying, cool, all these games that you love, remember now they're Microsoft. Whereas if you have an old disc or something like that, or you downloaded the game before, it won't have that at the beginning of the game. Yeah. We also have, apparently, knock on wood, knock on your boner, Microsoft is reportedly bringing xCloud to iOS in 2021 via a direct browser-based solution, says Adam Bankhurst at IGN. Right after Luna was announced last week, and they mentioned a similar solution where you'll stream on iOS using a browser because the App Store guidelines still suck a fuck. Business Insider and The Verge say Phil Spencer claims that the Game Pass will end up on iOS. So I'm very excited to see that. Obviously, I'm going to play my Xbox. You know what? I'm going to buy this fucking console to play it in 4K, 60 frames a second, 120 hertz on my TV, and then I'm going to be like, fuck yeah, I can't believe I spent money on that because I can't wait to play it on my phone. But no, obviously, this is going to be a huge get for people on the road, on a shuttle home, at work instead of doing work, that kind of stuff. It's going to be great. Can't wait.
It's a good move, too, because Apple's implementation... Because this is official. They said that you can have it... Yeah, it's official. You can have Game Pass, but you have to have them as individual titles, each individually rated by... This. The browser's a better solution. I think it's going to run fine.
Yeah, and you can do whatever the fuck you want in the browser.
App. Yeah.
I'm curious what the fuck Stadia has been doing the last like Luna came out and said, "Hey, we're going to do a browser-based like from the start." Microsoft said, "Hey, we ran into a roadblock 2 months later. We're doing a browser thing." And Stadia's just been like, "We tried one thing, and I guess we'll give up." Like Stadia's been out there for a year now almost, and they're still just like, "No, we're just not on iOS. I know that's where you want it, but it sucks."
They're not even on the newest Chromecast.
I know, right? Google released a new product, and Google's streaming service doesn't work on it.
I know. Sometime next year it'll come. It's like, holy shit! Like, do you not know how to launch any product? Because this is really, it's surprising. Okay, I don't want to talk about Stadia.
Horseshit.
It's just horseshit.
All right. So here's this next story. The title of this: 10 App Store Principles to Promote Choice, Fairness, and Innovation. From Rima Aleli, VP and Deputy General Counsel on the Microsoft blog.
For Microsoft, but written on the Microsoft blog.
Yeah, on the Microsoft blog. Yeah. So we have here 10 principles that Windows has come out or that Microsoft has come out and says, these are what we stand by for products on the Microsoft Store, and this is our thing. I'm just going to read a couple of them. I'm not going to go through all 10. I think it's a little ridiculous. But we'll read a couple of them, talk about the spirit of them, and then we have a blurb about, well, how does this apply to Xbox? Number 1, developers will have the freedom to choose whether to distribute their apps for Windows through our App Store. We will not block competing app stores on Windows. Number 2, we will not block an app from Windows based on a developer's business model or how it delivers content and services, including whether content is installed on a device or streamed from the cloud. Number 3, we will not block an app from Windows based on a developer's choice of which payment system to use for processing purchases made in its app. And the other 7 go on like that. It is all them directly saying, we're going to stand up, and all these things that Epic is angry about, and all the controversy around Apple's App Store, we're going to say, we'll let you have the freedom of choice on Windows platforms. Of fucking course you will. You only have a PC platform. You don't have a dog in this race on mobile because you failed, and any Microsoft hardware is running Android on it, which doesn't adhere to these rules. So
also,
this is all.
These are the principles that have already existed on PC. Like,
right?
It's not a change. this is the definition of virtue signaling.
That's also
exactly what this is.
Already exists on Mac. All of these things are true of Mac. Like on a portable a personal computer platform, you can do all of these things. You're not being some like amazing martyr over here dying for these principles. No, you're just like stating the all of these things already exist on desktop platforms. You dumb shit. We're talking about mobile. And you don't have a mobile device because it failed.
This whole thing could be rewritten as a BuzzFeed article called Top 10 Reasons that Microsoft Can't Be Sued by Epic Games. Because that's exactly what this is.
Because they do not have a phone.
They do have a phone. But they have Xbox. They had to call it Xbox at the end of this specifically. I thought this part was so, like, it was very strange. Like, this is clearly just like, oh, and none of this applies to... we have a whole paragraph here, but basically what it says is, none of this really applies to Xbox, though, and we'll tell you later on why.
So, that's so... Like, that paragraph is like, oh, yeah, Xbox is so different, and it's meant to do one thing, and they're digging themselves a hole with this paragraph about why that all of these 10 things don't apply to Xbox. When, like, if they just didn't fucking say anything at all, they wouldn't have even had to bring that up. Like, if they didn't talk about their nonsense 10 things, they wouldn't have even had to talk about why it didn't apply to Xbox, and no one would ask any questions.
Yeah. This also didn't need to be said. Like, I don't think this had to be written.
Nope, not at all. This is our game potato of the week. I've decided this is our game potato. It's stupid.
There was one more thing I thought was dumber, but maybe this is it. Let me see. Before I agree, I want to... Yeah, no, this is it. This is stupid. This is the game potato.
All right.
I thought there was something else, but there's not. Can we actually just jump to the Apple stuff because it's so tied into that?
Sure. Let's. We're going to pass over the PlayStation, the Sony Quest log, and jump to the third-party Quest log. And we're going to start with the Apple versus Epic. Yeah, we're still cleaning up the quests, the side quests.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
For our Platty Cocoa Puff. What Platty cleanup.
There we go. Here we go.
Third party, starting with Apple versus Epic. We have a couple of stories here. Epic Games versus Apple trial has been set for May 2021, says Marie Delisandri at gamesindustry.biz. That's twice now I've hesitated on her last name and then fucking nailed it. The trial is set to begin on May 3rd. And as we reported last week, we did not report. As we discussed last week, it will not be in front of a jury. It will just be in front of a court. And then also, Epic Games' lawsuit against Apple could have, quote, significant and serious ramifications for Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft, end quote, says Vicky Blake at Eurogamer. Holden, I'm going to let you wanted to talk about this. I'm going to let you kind of segue into whatever your thoughts were and talk about this.
Yeah. I didn't really have any unique thoughts to bridge them. I just thought they're so closely related. We might as well keep it in the wheelhouse. But Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers wrote in the court documents the outcomes of this trial could harm other video game platforms, including Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. Quote from the court documents: Epic Games argues about gaming consoles and computers require electrical blah. Epic Games argues that gaming consoles and computers require electrical outlets and separate screens and thus lack capacity for mobile play, which demands portable, battery-operated, and cellular-connected devices with built-in screens. The judge in that same court document recognized that Epic has ignored completely other devices as gaming laptops, tablets, and Nintendo Switch, which... especially Switch, it's all those things except for connected by a cellular tower. That's it. Yeah. This is just I feel like, okay, here's my thoughts on this. Hopefully we've all seen Arrested Development, because we're about to make if you haven't seen Arrested Development, this analogy won't make any sense to you at all. But it's like when Maybe is trying to rebel against her parents and then offers to do something like chores to rebel because they said she'd never be interested in chores. And she's scrubbing the floor going, this is my worst rebellion ever. And I feel like that's Epic in court, is Maybe going why did we do this? We have to make these arguments? This is the worst rebellion we've ever came up with. It gets more and more embarrassing for them.
The further it goes on, the more I'm convinced that they just thought Apple was going to flinch.
Yeah.
And they didn't. And then they were like, well, fuck, we didn't plan past this. What do we do?
I cannot wait to see what happens next May when this goes to court. There's going to be some sort of hearing on October 19th, but it seems like it's more just to kind of figure out what the parameters of the case are, and then they're going to meet up again for some pre-conference trials. Our pre-trial conferences in early April, but May 3rd is when shit's going to go down. I can't wait at this point. I want to be there with popcorn. I'm so excited. This is going to be a train wreck. Because the only thing that Apple is they kind of said, oh, it's pretty. Past reporting, it kind of said, oh, it's pretty even keeled. It's Epic got in trouble in this one way, but then Apple got in trouble because it tried to ban Unreal Engine. But this next thing that coming up has nothing to do with Unreal Engine. That's already in the past. This is all going to be about the things that the judge has already brought up huge concerns about, which is 30% cut is fair in the sense that it's an industry standard, and that Apple has a right to not let you put another store within their store. The judge has basically already said what her ruling on this is going to be. But now Epic is going to say lovely things well, Apple's different because they offer a device with mobile play, which demands portable, battery-operated and cellular-connected devices with built-in screens. We're going to see arguments like that over and over and over
because
again.
It runs on a battery, we don't need to pay as much money to put it on it.
Yeah. It's so weird. And I think the other thing here for me is, although Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers didn't say this explicitly, we're agreeing on something for different reasons. I've kind of been saying from the beginning, this is going to be really bad if it goes through and Apple has to lower their cut. And then, because it will have the impact on Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo that they might need to lower their cut to remain competitive. And then they might not be profitable, which then means that they potentially could go under. In the case of Sony, if Sony loses PlayStation, they lost Sony because Sony funds so much of the rest of that company. Then if Apple is put in a situation where they are a monopoly for real, that was caused by Epic. And it's amazing to me that this is the path that we're going down on this. It's not to say there aren't problems that can't be discussed, but it's a bull in the china shop. Epic wants to put the bull in the china shop. Like their goal of saying this Chinaware is very delicate. I don't know what we could possibly do. If a bull in a China shop ever got in there, it would be disastrous. Solution, let's just put the bull in there right now. It just seems like such a weird way to approach this. And I know I've said this many times over the past few weeks, but it just continues to baffle me. Anyway.
Speaking of monopolies, walk us through this next story about the monopolistic behavior.
Yeah, so I have similar views on this one too. So U.S. House Committee says Amazon, Google, Apple, Facebook engaged in monopolistic behavior, not all within their own respective industries. The committee found these tech giants typically run the marketplace while also competing in it, a position that enables them to write one set of rules for others while they play by another, or to engage in a form of their own private quasi-regulation that is unaccountable to anyone but themselves. For now, the committee recommends several reforms to limit these monopolistic practices. So this is an interesting one because I actually think there's a lot to be said about the power of these tech companies and that it needs to be handled. The first thing to note is this House Committee, whatever it was, doesn't amount to anything because at the end all they did is just recommend, hey guys, we should probably throw some reforms at them.
Right.
So it doesn't mean anything's going to happen. They just basically patted themselves in the back and said, look, we did something. It's like, you didn't really do anything. And it's not written in this article, but one of the primary concerns that the committee hearing made was about the 30% cut that Apple takes. But again, they only mentioned Apple in that, even though Google does the same thing. Facebook does the same thing, a lot of their content on their site. Like if you buy like a movie you can still buy movies from Facebook.
You can buy all sorts of things from Facebook now.
Yeah, they take a cut. Like the fact that they would call out Apple 30% as this unique thing means that they didn't do a great investigation because that's like a basic level of research that needs to be done. And it's just embarrassing and another example of how our government does not understand technology and we need to figure these problems out. # watch the social dilemma. Everyone watch the social dilemma. You might already know about a lot of things that are in there, but it's still really important, I think, to see the documentary regardless. It's not going to be fixed by the House and Senate that we have right now. It's just not going to be, but it's probably one of the most pressing issues of our time. And this is less video game related, but it's still hugely important and still kind of related to the Apple Epic thing as well, mildly.
I read the statement that Apple put out in response to this, and one of the things I thought was so funny is they're accusing Apple, among other companies, of being a monopoly, and Apple says in response is literally in every single space that we're in, we are not the most successful company. Like music, Spotify beat us. News, there are a ton of other better, more profitable news outlets. There's movie streaming, like Netflix, obviously, Hulu, obviously, are so much better than Apple TV Plus. Like in everything that they do, they are by far not the most successful company. So how is that a monopoly?
Oh, and the Spotify one's amazing too, because I remember listening to the hearing, and the Spotify was brought up as an example. Like, well, what about Spotify? Spotify is complaining about how you have this monopolistic power. Like when Apple One was announced, Spotify freaked and wrote this whole thing about how it was so unfair to them. And I'm like, how can you make this claim when you are better positioned than Apple Music? And it's inherent to the platform. It's the case that exactly proves that just because you're competing within your own market doesn't give you this huge advantage that apparently these companies have. It hasn't panned out in any example. It's so bizarre. And I guess it doesn't if people who are just on Twitter and stuff, I get it. These are compelling arguments for a lot of people. These are House committee members who should be the most nuanced and fact and detailed oriented, and they just don't prove that.
For sure.
You'd want them to be, yeah, but it just doesn't happen. Ugh, politics is fun and frustrating and annoying and terrible and awful all at the same time.
Speaking of frustrating, annoying, and terrible, the rest of the third-party quest log goes as follows. GameSpot undergoes layoffs. Your favorite site, not related to the store, that is also probably undergoing a lot of layoffs. Says Brendan Sinclair at GamesIndustry.biz. So parent company CNET, who owns GameSpot, CNET, Metacritic, and Giant Bomb, underwent a lot of layoffs. If you know anything, any jobs opening, great. The thing I love about this game industry is that immediately after this happened, I saw a lot of, again, game industry people saying, hey, I know there's an opening here, or hey, we're hiring for this. Mm-hmm. Put out your resumes. Sucks.
Hopefully they all land safely.
And then...
Also... Really quickly, I just found this really interesting. Giant Bomb is owned by the same company that owns GameSpot. Do you know the story of Giant Bomb and how it came to be?
No.
Jeff Gerston, who's kind of founded Giant Bomb, he used to work at GameSpot. Long story short, he wrote a review for a game that was being sponsored on GameSpot, and they didn't like the review, so they tried to get him to change the review to something more positive. GameStop's the executives at GameSpot were telling Jeff Gerston, no, you need to change the review because they're a sponsor, and Jeff Gerston refused, so he left GameSpot and then started Giant Bomb. And now they're both under the same umbrella again, which is really, that's kind of amazing that happens. I didn't know that they were owned by the same company. Anyway.
Well, if you don't know, now you know. And then following up on the Cyberpunk crunch story, where we were disappointed to hear about this maybe 2 weeks ago? Was it last week? I don't remember. Time is a flat circle. CDPR devs say reportedly preferred... Sorry, let me start that over. CDPR devs reportedly preferred Cyberpunk 2077 crunch over a delay, says Zarminicon at PlayStation Lifestyle. We have, on the Game Informer show, there was a panel that discussed the crunch and debacle and says it was a little bit overblown. They said that they've talked to different developers who all say that they would rather come in for 1 day a week extra. As we mentioned last time, they were asked to come in on the weekend day once a month or once a week for the next 6 weeks, rather than delaying the game. And most of them didn't even consider that crunch. Jason Schreier put out an email from the studio head, Adam Badowski, when Cyberpunk was delayed from September to November. And Holden, you've highlighted a sentence here. It is super tiny on my screen. Can you read it on yours?
Jason actually highlighted that.
Oh, JK.
I can read it for you. I can see it.
Yeah, go for it.
I said the part of the email. This is an email that Adam Badowski sent out when the game was. Oh, you already said it. It was first delayed from September to November. If I could wish for anything, I would like to humbly ask you to, in all caps, endure in the effort, end caps, to deliver the game. I would also like to extend an apology to your partners and ask for their support as well. Dear partners, I am fully aware that the hard work of your loved ones often means they cannot participate on the home front, but I promise in this last stretch and the finish line is near. So basically saying, hey, I'm aware this impacts your home life, but just like tell your wife at home or your husband at home that like you got to do it because the game's important.
We said thanks.
We said thanks.
In fact, we have a whole sentence devoted to saying thanks. Dear partners, I'm fully aware.
So does this change anything for you that some of the developers at Cyberpunk at CD Projekt Red are, I guess, okay with this?
It's difficult to know it's difficult to think about this and not know how everyone was feeling and how that was determined they were going to do 1 weekend day a week for 6 weeks. And I still think that whether they want to or not, I still think that 6 days a week working from home in this mess is too much. It's a lot for anybody. Yeah. I know that if I like being a team player, I know that if somebody asked me on my team, like, hey, we have this thing that we need to just get done. I need you to work on Sunday. I need you to do it for a couple. I would. In fact, I've done that. I've had projects that were due, and it was like, I'm working through the weekend this weekend, and it happens. And of course, I would say yes, and of course that I would get paid for it, and it would look better whenever I'm looking for promotions and things like that. But it doesn't mean that it's good. And whether they wanted it or not, they would probably still do it reluctantly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's what kind of Jason was highlighting there, that email, is that even if it's not mandatory, it can feel like it's mandatory. Yeah. And I think I agree with everything you're saying. Like, I think these people are just team players, and they just want to help out. In this case, this current crunch is mandatory. But this doesn't really change anything for me and kind of how I look at it, because, I mean, Jason said he talked to over 20 employees, but how many people are in that company? And, how many employees did Game Informer talk to? There's always going to be a spread of people who feel one way or the other about a company's decision, the company they work for. So it doesn't really change anything, because, like, just because Jason wrote the story doesn't mean that everyone at CD Projekt Red unanimously agreed that the crunch was terrible and awful. that's not the case. Just like with Naughty Dog and their extreme of crunch, their extreme version of crunch. There are employees there who still want it and don't care about it. So, like, just because there are some people at a company who are fine with the direction of that company doesn't mean that the decision that company made is right or wrong.
Right.
It's kind of like we'd have to make the judgment for ourselves, and that's kind of all there is to it.
You know what would make it better, though? It wouldn't make
What?
it right, but it would make it better if they gave them an extra week at Christmas or Thanksgiving or something like that. Well, I guess not Thanksgiving because they probably don't celebrate Thanksgiving there in Poland. But
Maybe. I don't know.
There's a Canadian
I
Thanksgiving.
don't know.
Maybe we're the only grateful continent.
So they got
Just
a
kidding,
bunch
we're
of
full
countries, like even Brazil, like celebrates Thanksgiving. It's like a celebration of, because when we saw that we had that exchange, I was curious. It's like an exchange of a celebration after a harvest. So you kind of eat a lot because you have a plentiful harvest and you have a lot of extra food. So maybe Poland did it. I don't know.
Okay. And then finally, the last little Cyberpunk thing we've got here is just a piece of Cyberpunk 2077's Japanese script is basically the size of a coffee table, says Joe Scrubbles at IGN. And there's a photo. I'm going to see if I can just drag this photo into the video stream. If you're watching the video version, boom. It is now the whole screen except, you can see me peeking out from the side. Yes. It's enormous. And that is just a piece of the Japanese script. That is not even all the languages. Great. Weird flex, but okay.
It's a crazy amount of pages.
It is. It's a lot of paper.
I'd be curious how many pages that is, because what was it?
It looks like at least 20.
At least 20. Detroit Become Human was 2,000, I think. 2,000 pages.
Yeah, and that had a bunch of branching shit.
Yeah, and I'm curious.
But
I'm
that's,
curious how many
I mean,
pages
that's
that is.
branching shit versus like a huge immersive open world. Like those are.
Yeah.
I guess what you're trying to say is that Detroit Become Human was the last thing we heard about that was enormous in size.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's take a little hop, skip, and jump back to the Sony quest log and wrap up those little side quests. Get us closer to that Platty Cocoa Puff. You know what I've realized? Now that we've moved the main quest at the beginning, we don't have a place for the ad read. Let me tell you a little bit about Affable Idiots. It is the parent company under which we fall, along with AAWI and also with you podcast, and maybe another cool thing coming up pretty soon, maybe with some, I don't know, films, movies, I don't know, something like that, maybe. As long as we get your support, how do you support us? Let us know that you like us and you want more content from us by subscribing to us on YouTube. I don't know, if we had a vanity URL like youtube.com/respawningfire, maybe we would love you more. If we saw more 5-star reviews on our podcast services, I know we're rated 5.0 out of 5.0 stars on iTunes right now, but I mean, if we had more of them, we would love you more. That's our love language is shower us with gifts and affection. So do that. If you also would like to become a patron of Respawning Fire, there is a Patreon for that. What is it, Holden? That's right, patreon.com/respawningfire. That's exactly my voice. That's crazy. You're able to throw that across the eastern seaboard there. Yeah, you can go there. You can get dope wallpapers. I'm toying with the idea of releasing an extra wallpaper skin on a wallpaper in the next week for Halloween. Maybe. So you might get double the money, double the pleasure, double the fun. Statement of the Great Men, Tamara and Mary, double make gum. Go there, play with us on weeknights, Thursdays, game night. Influence what we play for Barf. Did I miss anything? Go check out The Grind. The first episode of The Grind has been up for quite a few weeks now, but it's still a super dope piece of content, and it is our most viewed piece of content on YouTube. And it is all about the broken promises, for better or for worse, from Google Stadia. So go check that out, or be a fucker. Next up, moving on to our Sony Quest log. We have trophy changes. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! First of all, it's just nice to hear the confirmation that trophies are coming to PS5 as well. Second of all, it's great to hear.
They wouldn't have come.
You don't know. It's great to hear that not only are they coming in a new incarnation or a new revamped system, but that all of the previous work that you do gets adapted to that new system. Like, I would hate if they said, "Hey, we're now doing a 1 to 9.99 thing, but it's only starting with PS5 trophies." I could have seen that happening. I would have hated it, but I would have gone along with it. New trophy levels. Work. So you used to have trophy level associated with the number of trophies that you got. And after you got to, like, I don't know, level 10-ish, it was a grind to level up again. And they would only go from 1 to 100. Now they go from 1 to 999. And they've taken that compressed thing and they've slinked it out. And now what you used to be, you are now born again as a new Christian at a higher level on the Scientology, whatever you paid for, hierarchy. So Holden, all of that was to say that we are all now much, much cooler than we were before. You were a cool level of 13 before. What is your cool level now?
230.
Oh, Lord. 230. Holden, that's pretty impressive.
Yours is way more impressive, though.
I took a picture of it, and then I deleted it, and now I am still trying to find that deleted photo. Okay, here it is. So before, I was level 24. I am now 367, baby! Why are they doing this? Well, they're revamping it a little bit to, obviously, dangle the carrot in front of your head a little bit more. Allow you to get that little dopamine hit more often, so you're leveling up more often. The way that they've revamped it as well, instead of just having a star next to your number, like they did for the past couple of generations, you now have an actual icon with a little trophy symbol. And it's a bronze. It's bronze with a circle around it. It's bronze with the little wingies, or it's silver, similar. Gold, similar. And then if you are one of the crazy-ass people out there who reach level 999, you get a cool-ass platinum little icon next to your name. And the big thing, platinum trophies now count for more progress than they did before, which makes me a happy boy. That's dope. Happy to see that. Something else that was leaked and then confirmed by Sony just 2 days ago was that, similar to what Xbox One already does, on next gen, you will see trophy progress in the menu as well. So if it says kill 100 bad guys, it will show you how close you are to killing 100 bad guys in the menu, which is pretty cool. Holden, you know how you get trophies? From playing games. Trophies started way back on the Vita and PS3. Did you know that? Of course you did.
I did know that.
They weren't on PSP. What do those three systems have in common? Holden, PlayStation Store on web and mobile is to stop selling PS3, PSP, and Vita games this month. Says Wesley Yinpool at Eurogamer. So apparently the PlayStation Store is getting an overhaul on web and mobile. You are now only able to buy PS4 games and PS5 games going forward. In fact, you can no longer even buy PS4 apps, themes, or avatars from the online store. However, you can still buy content for all of these platforms from their respective stores on their own systems. So if you have a PS3, you can still go on the PS3 on the console and download games. Same for Vita. I think the PSP store is shut down. Like, you can no longer access the PlayStation Store. That's been down for years. You can no longer access the store from the PSP, but you can still download PSP games to your Vita via the PSP store, via the PSN store. Interestingly enough, there's on the online version of the store, there's a wishlist feature, which I've used, and it's really cool to, I don't know, every other week go into your wish list and just see all the games and whether or not they're discounted. You're like, oh, it's discounted now? I'll buy it. Everyone thought, oh, they've implemented this on the online store. Hopefully it'll come to the PlayStation 4. And it turns out, no, they're just fucking getting rid of that altogether. Does that affect you at all? Do you even have any of those systems? Oh, you have a Vita, right?
I have a Vita, yeah. I think this is a good move. It makes sense.
Yeah. If it makes the site work better, by all means. As I told you earlier this week, for years, on all of my devices, it's been 95% of the time I try to go online and sign in, it's just a loop where it says, sign in, enter your password, sign in again.
And then today, that stopped happening for me. I was able to pre-order games. But, same thing.
Every once in a while, a different device will be able to do it. Most recently, it's been my iPad. Oh, great. If I need to buy something on the store online, I go to my iPad. If I try it on my phone or my Mac, it'll fuck up. Next, we have a fetch quest log just for the PS5 within the Sony quest log. Oh, shit. Let's run through these little baby back ribs. Starting with Japanese media weren't shown PlayStation 5 UI create button features. says Brianna Reeves at PlayStation Lifestyle. I last week was like, how the hell did all these people get their hands on the console, show us launching and switching between games, and how it was all running, and none of them saw the UI? Turns out they didn't. Why don't we know more about that information? I have no fucking clue. Holden. I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh, just kidding. In my mind, Ghost of Tsushima and Sekiro are the same game. But you liked this game, but you're not like Sekiro about it. Ghost of Tsushima on PS5 will achieve 60 frames per second with the Game Boost mode, says Leanna Rupert at Game Informer. This will also include faster load times thanks to the SSD. I did not tell you about this ahead of time, but I put strike through in this next part because it basically means nothing, but I'm going to read it out loud now anyway, even though I put a strike through in it. God of War 3 Remastered, and Naughty Dog's games will all be available via backwards compatibility, but we don't know what upgrades those will have yet. As we see later, 99.9% of all other games will also be available, and we also don't know what upgrades they'll have either.
So I think the reason there's still a strike through. I think there's a reason that it's still important to call those games out as being backwards compatible, which we'll talk about though when we get to the 99%, because there's a very important caveat to that 99%.
Dope. Modder creates and showcases Bloodborne 60 frames per second patch, says Zerminicon at PlayStation Lifestyle. So a guy has gotten Bloodborne to run at 60 FPS on a PS4 Pro. He's only had to downscale it to 720p. Brought the resolution down to 720p and then upscale it to 1080. And then in like a weird, ransom or like blackmailing, it says, if you don't release a patch that does this already by the time the PS5 launches, I'm going to make this public. I would love to play that game in 60 FPS. I would also like to play Bloodborne 2.
Absolutely. Definitely Bloodborne 2. There was a rumor a little while ago that there was a Bloodborne like remaster coming out on PS5 that's like 60 frames per second and 4K and all that.
It's also been rumored to be coming
my
60
fingers.
frames a second and 4K to PC for the last like 4 years.
That's right. Yeah.
And it never happened.
I don't see Sony making actually doing a patch for PS4 where they lower the resolution to 720p on a PS4 Pro. I don't see that happening. But it's cool you got it to happen.
Spider-Man Miles Morales went gold. Huzzah! And I love that this article also in the title says, release date announced, says Jordan Beato of Gamer. So
it was announced a while ago.
Yep. Technically, that's not a false statement.
Well, to be fair, did Sony announce it a while ago or did Jeff Keighley announce it a while ago?
That's right.
Now it's
Nobody
official.
can tell. And then what we were alluding to before, PS4 games on PS5. Your top questions answered by Hideki Nishino at PlayStation Blog. Directly from the horse's mouth, we know that over 99% of games will run on PS5. Over 99% of PS4 games will run on PS5. There are a couple of things to keep in mind that although, quote, this is from Sony's support page, quote, although many PS4 games are playable on PS5 consoles, some functionalities that were available on PS4 may not be available on PS5 consoles. In addition, some PS4 games may exhibit errors or unexpected behavior when played on PS5 consoles. Further, it reads, quote, before purchasing add-ons to play with your PS4 games on PS5 consoles, please try to boot and play your PS4 games on your PS5 console to see if you're happy with the play experience. So we know that the games are going to run. From that, it means like, sounds like they're going to run, but we don't know what's going to happen when you try to boot it up. Is it going to be good? Is everything going to be blown out? Is it going to be skippy? Is it going to be great? Who knows? But we know at least they boot.
Yeah. And I feel like the confirmation of like the Naughty Dog games and the God of War games and PS4 is just saying these ones will work. You're not going to like have like weird hiccups and glitches and stuff. Like these are fully backwards compatible. They will work. Gotcha. I'd be super bummed if I open up Sekiro and like can't block or can't swing a sword. I'm sure we're not going to run into anything like that. Yeah. I'm just being paranoid. I would be really bummed.
In that same article, Sony details 10 games. There are 10 PS4 games that will not run on PS5. Whatever the fuck DWVR is. Afro Samurai 2 Revenge of the Kuma Volume 1. TT Isle of Man Ride on the Edge 2. Just Deal With It. Shadow Complex Remastered. Robinson the Journey, We Sing, Hitman Go Definitive Edition, Shadwin, and Joe's Diner.
I feel like they could have just said, yep, 100% of games run, and no one would have ever found out.
Though, but so here's the two that surprised me. I mentioned this in our text message thread earlier this week. Robinson the Journey surprises me because when PSVR came out, that was like one of the showcase titles that they were it was in all of the advertisements. They were promoting it at conferences. And it was like one of the very first like amazing scale experiences you're literally going around and touching dinosaurs and it's really cool, and fucking hiding from velociraptors and trying to sneak around them Zelda style. Oh my god, it was terrifying. But that surprises me that they, for whatever reason, are not compatible. And then the other one being Hitman Go Definitive Edition. Like Square Enix, they have other Go games like Lara Croft Go that are coming to that are compatible. And the only thing I can think of is like, well, we don't have the rights to Hitman anymore because we gave that to IO Interactive, so I guess we're not going to bother updating this game at all. I don't know. I don't know why they did that one, or they didn't do that one, but they did all the others.
Yeah, but I can see that. At the same time, though, like I don't think that 99% of those games on PlayStation 4 were reworked by the developers and like touched up.
Yeah, I'm sure not.
So like. Something about it, like it just doesn't work. I don't know. Like it's very strange for sure.
And Shadow Complex Remastered is actually like in the last 2 years, also, I think.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily
like
Joe's
Diner though.
Joe's Diner, man. That's what we're missing out. There are a couple of things to note, however. PS4 games will be able to take advantage of PS5's yet unannounced unique UX features, which will be shown later. We are literally a month away. It is the 11th. It is like 2.5 hours from midnight on the 11th. People will be playing this in a month. And we don't know what unique UX features on the PS5 will be or what the create button does. It's fucking crazy. And then, in another kind of interesting twist, you will be able to remote play from PS4 to PS5. So if your PS4 is downstairs and your PS5 is upstairs, you'll be able to play your PS4 on your PS5. You'll be able to stream it. Streamed PS4, however, won't feature the Game Boost features. So obviously, if it's still running locally on your PS4, it won't have the extra processing power to make it better. And then in the last bit here, transferring saves from PS4 to PS5 is up to developers. There have been quite a few articles actually in the last couple of weeks that have been criticizing Sony for having such a confusing save transfer. Some games the saves transfer. Some games you need an upgrade to do it. Some games it doesn't do it at all. But it all does it on Microsoft is always the kind of thing. And then this is Sony just coming out saying, hey, we gave them the choice and they chose not to. Whereas I assume then Microsoft said, this is how upgrades work and this is how cross-gen things work on our platforms. Either do it or get off.
Boom.
Boom. Speaking of something else that's unique to PS5 that won't be working at launch, the PS5 Tempest 3D audio, the cool thing they've been promoting, will not be compatible with TV speakers at launch, says Chandler Wood at PlayStation Lifestyle. So that just that 3D audio feature, which I've recently kind of experienced on another platform, is super fucking cool. And it just won't be on the TV speakers. You won't be able to experience it without headphones. On any kind of headphones plugged into the port on your DualSense or wireless to the PlayStation itself, you will still be able to experience the 3D audio, just not yet on speakers. Which is kind of crazy. Like, if they can get that to work on TV speakers, crazy. So crazy.
Yeah, that was such a crazy feature to begin with that I'm like, oh, it's going to be late. That's fine. I already didn't kind of believe it anyway. But I've been using headphones lately, so I think I'm going to be fine.
Yeah. Holden, in the thing that gave you a boner for almost a week, you had to call a doctor, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
PS5 Teardown, an up-close and personal look at the console hardware from PlayStation on YouTube. Holden, walk me through these things, since you were so excited and enamored by it. Walk me through the teardown.
Excited. First of all, thing is big. We now have the official dimensions for it. It's big. I just had Siri translate or convert all the millimeter measurements to inches like Americans, because we need to know the inches. It's basically 4 inches wide.
Whoa, that is big.
It is big. It's 1.2 feet high. That is big. And it's 8 inches deep. So it's big boy. It's a really big console. But it's just make room for Entertainment Center, and then it's on a Switch. It's fine. You don't have to pick it up and use it. As
we'll find out very soon, it is worth being that big.
Yes. There is some very, very fancy tech in there. Let's start with the input-output ports on this PS5. It's got in the back 2 USB-A ports that transfer 10 gigabits per second.
Which I didn't even know was a possibility.
Yeah,
I didn't know USB-A could go that fast.
I think it's USB 3.2 can, and USB-C is just like 3.2 as well, just with a different size. I think I don't know how that works, but apparently it's possible. I don't think they're lying. So apparently it's possible. On the front, it does have a USB-C port, which is the same 10 gigabits per second. In the video, they called it super speed.
Yeah,
I just thought it was really funny. And then there's one high-speed USB-A port, but I don't know what that one does. But that's cool.
Probably for like charging a controller or something.
Yeah, or, I guess I was like how fast is high speed? Like, what are they defining?
I think they said it was 5 gigabits.
Okay.
And that's
Ethernet?
Probably best used for like headphones.
The USB-A port?
Yeah, any like the Sony like surround sound headphones and things like that require a USB port. Like there's a wireless dongle that plugs in. They're not just Bluetooth.
Interesting. I didn't know that. There's Ethernet on it. There's an HDMI out. It has an AC power adapter, which is the same exact one as on the PS4, which is great news because I can basically just keep my cable managing exactly how it is.
Yes.
Unplug the PS4 and plug in the PS5. That's actually really good news. That's a subtle, like, nice thing that probably they didn't think about that at all. It was more cost effective to use the same cables, but that's cool. It has a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray drive, which is insulated to reduce noise. These little like caps that I guess like puts pressure on certain points of the drive so that it's not rattling as much. I guess is what I'm assuming that's what it's doing. I remember very quiet.
What was it, almost a year and a half ago? Whenever we played Kingdom Hearts, or was that last year? I don't know. No, it was a year and a half ago. Yeah,
it was a decade ago.
We played Kingdom Hearts, and I played it on disc, and it was like, and it was in the port, and it was going skin, skin, skin. I was like, oh my god. PlayStations make that sound on a regular basis? I hate that.
It sounds like it's broken. This next one is, I think, very important. And I wish I had the numbers here. I didn't write the numbers down here, but it has Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.0. 5.1. 5.0, that's great. 5.1, yeah. 5.1 is great. But Wi-Fi 6, the Wi-Fi speeds on the PS5 are many times faster than that on the Series X, which means that when you're downloading big old next-gen games, it's going to download a hell of a lot faster. That's fantastic news.
Yeah. And that's like almost nothing right now. Like the newest iPhone and the newest watch are all running Wi-Fi 6, but like outside of that, nothing has Wi-Fi 6 in it yet. So it's the fact that Sony is like putting this out there on their flagship console and not waiting for the Pro revision.
Yeah, I think, and we'll see this as a trend. They didn't skimp on this console. They weren't saying things like, all right, well, for this really fast SSD, we'll put all the money into that, and then we'll just put a really cheap Wi-Fi card in there so that we can make up the cost. Like, I don't think they made any decisions like that because there's so many, like, very well-considered things about this. Speaking of which, the base...
Obviously, you'll also need a Wi-Fi 6 router, though, to take advantage of those, which also are only now starting to become kind of mainstream.
Yeah. But they're future-proofing it. The base is surprisingly nice. Someone's gotten mocked for this base. It's ridiculous. It's awesome.
It is so cool. Like so you take the base and while it's standing up, and then you take it up, you unscrew it, and you take the little pin out, you take off the base. There's a little plug that you can use to plug the butthole on the PlayStation, and then there's a little hidden compartment in the base where you put the screw and you slide it and it disappears into the... It's so cool. And then you just kind of hook it on the side to turn it sideways. First of all, don't turn it sideways. It's hideous sideways. Always keep it upright. But like the fact that they thought about that and they had the hidden compartment and the butt plug, like it's dope.
Yeah. People are going to lose that screw if they only use it in like you might orient it one way for a long time and then change it to the other position for a while after that if you move somewhere else and need a room. Like, so it's something that you could very easily lose that screw. And the fact that they thought about that is crazy. It's in a good
all
way.
those haters out there who are saying, and Microsoft included until they deleted the tweet, saying this is how you turn a Series X on its side.
Did they do that? They deleted the tweet?
Yeah, well, it was Microsoft UK, and then they deleted the tweet like a day later. But they just turned it on its side. And then if you take a picture, somebody else followed up with a picture from like the side of it. And like, when it's on its side and it shows like all the hideous ports and stuff you can see through the grill and the weird base just kind of hanging off the side and the cables coming. It was like, yeah, it looks ugly as fuck.
It was them. I'm amazed they took it down because I was so close to retweeting it and being like, this isn't the gotcha you think it is.
Yeah.
And I guess they agreed. But it's, that was such a weird, like, trying to be this is how you share a game, like, moment. And it did not work. It didn't work at all. Go back to the PS5. The side panels are removable. It's now official, which they didn't say this isn't official, but I think we can speculate. There will be some very nice panels to get in the future.
There have to be. They are so easily removable that either there will be first party, like they have a Last of Us theme panels. You can just pop them off, pop the new ones on, which I will buy all of. Or there will be, you could probably buy them 3D printed for $5 a piece on eBay, and you can design whatever the fuck you want. You can design them yourself, and I can't wait for that too. I'm just gonna, take a shit on it and Jackson Pollock the hell out of it.
It's really cool, and that by taking the panels off, you get access to the expansion port where you can actually put in an additional SSD into the PS5 as long as it meets the requirements, which are we don't have the story here, but they're priced very expensive. The first kind of maybe official SSD that can work.
They're pretty much in line with the new ones from WD, the WD Black series.
Yeah,
that are technically fast enough, but Sony has not said whether or not they meet the heat requirements or the size requirements.
Yeah, the heat requirements.
The 1 terabyte version is the same price as the 1 terabyte Xbox expansion card.
Yeah.
But actually, if you go to 2 terabytes, it's like $450. It's like, whew.
It's the cost of your PlayStation.
Yeah.
But what's cool, though, is you can get the 1 terabyte version, and then you're more than doubling the storage of your console at that point because you keep the storage that's in there. And that's what I was curious about because Mark Cerny's wording at Road to PS5 kind of left it open where you could either expand or replace. He said expand, but it wasn't quite clear that this is what they were doing. And it's nice to know that you don't have to like take your SSD out and then transfer all the data over. Like, this is going to be awesome. It looks very seamless. Yeah. Underneath the side panel as well, outside of that expansion port, is the central fan, which actually is put in a position where it cools both sides of the console kind of simultaneously. They only kind of needed one fan there, which is a different approach to how Microsoft used the one fan kind of at the top to hit all areas of the console. So that's some clever work there. And then there's also a dust catcher. That's so cool. Again, one of those, they thought of this little thing that they didn't have to think about at all. No one would have blamed them if they didn't think about putting a dust catcher on there, but they did. And you just put a vacuum up to that hole and it sucks up all the dust. And then you're good. Because PS5s, they got dusty. PS4 got dusty. PS5 not going to get dusty.
So well, it will get dusty, but you can clean it real good.
Yeah. And then the last part is kind of the internals that we saw. I'm not going to go over everything with the internals, other than to point out that they can no longer send it to that PS5 for any sort of warranty repair because they took off the tamper seals. Don't do that. I
saw them pull up that tape and I said, oh, yep.
Warranty voided. Not leading by example, Sony, if I have to say so myself. And in all seriousness, they showed off the SSD, the system on a chip, the heatsink, and the RAM on the motherboard. The big highlight, which was rumored, and we didn't even talk about it because I didn't believe it for a second, but it's totally true, is there's going to be liquid metal cooling on PS5.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's like a high-end PC kind of thing, and they put it on the PS5. Another area where they just spared no expense.
Yep.
So
and then we also see the heatsink itself is basically like by volume, I don't know, 80% of that console.
Oh, yeah.
So like it is that big with every intention of just keeping it cool. And as you mentioned, the reports from the past couple of weeks, like after running it for 80 minutes, they touched it. It was literally cool to the touch. Like this thing is not going to get warm. It's not going to sound like a jet engine for at least 6 months. And then it'll get dusty, and then you'll vacuum it out, and then it will sound like a jet engine again.
I'm very impressed. It looks engineered just to perfection. And something hit me where I can't remember where they said it, but they said that PS5, they've been working on it like literally since PS4. Whereas when Xbox was talking about their time frame, they said that they started working on it after the Xbox One X, but they kept the future in mind when they made the One X. Which means that they've been working on this several years longer than Microsoft has. And I'm not an engineering expert. I don't know about the hardware. But from my little naive perspective over here, it seems like they totally outclassed the Series X, because the teardowns for this was, to me, way more impressive than the teardown for the Xbox Series X. And the trend, the Series X teardown was also impressive. That's engineered very well. It's a really good piece of kit, as they would say in the UK. But the PS5 just looks like it's engineered by by Da Vinci, and this is their David. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's amazing. It's just Sistine Chapel.
Dallas says in the chat he's not a fan of the base switching. He says it's too much work. Well, I guess that's a reflection on you as a lazy motherfucker. First of all, you're only going to do this once every few years as you change your console up or your entertainment sensor up. But also, not only are you too lazy to take a screw out and put it sideways, but you're too lazy to put two O's on the word two. It's 2-1-0 much work, Dallas. Come on, man. Come on.
It is more work than the Xbox, but when you saw the Xbox, it looks like trash. Even Microsoft agrees because they deleted their tweet. But also, it's something you do once. And I think most people probably aren't going to do it. I have to do it because my entertainment center, the way it's set up, I have to keep it horizontal.
Get a new house. PlayStation needs its own bedroom. All right, that is it. It is super impressive. Like. Love it. And we don't have a main quest because we already did it. So we're going to transition into the last part of our show, the Game on Game Show. The Game on a Game Show, where we play a game called Game On, the Game Show on a Game Show. Game. Everyone, we've got another round of Now Flesh It Out. This is usually a cop-out game, but I'm actually kind of super interested in what these might end up being. So we've got 3 pairs of games, and the way Now Flesh It Out works is we have to take 2 existing game franchises, mash them together, and figure out what type of game they would create. What would be a proper love child of these 2 games? Hold on, I've got 3 pairs. The first is Solitaire crossed with Fortnite. What would Solitaire look like crossed with Fortnite? I'm thinking something probably like a Tetris 99 style, like it is a solo game. But
okay, yeah.
So you're Solitaire, maybe not. It's boring to just play Solitaire by itself. So maybe you're like Solitaire, and there's some kind of card house building element to it to incorporate the Fortnite building a house building. Get it? I've never played Fortnite. And then like
I can go with that.
You can like, I don't know. Every time you build a new level on your house of cards, it sends a gust of wind over to somebody else. It just goes, and if they don't have enough cards on their level, then it just topples it over.
Here's an idea here. This is totally not Solitaire, but it takes a portion of Solitaire and kind of something we've seen in Warzone. Warzone, you had like certain locations, you had to know the code and like listen to the phone, then go to an area and open it, like, right? They had that whole thing going on. Here's how you incorporate Solitaire. The goal of Solitaire is you have the 4 stacks are building up, starting with the ace of each suit, and you stack up until you have all the cards by their suit laid out in order. Whoever puts down the king is the winner, right? So here's the game. Surrounding the map of Fortnite, you have all the cards. And you as a team have to know that I have to get the ace and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and so on and so forth. But whoever puts the king down is the winner. So it's like a little competition of like all these teams putting down the cards in the middle of the Fortnite map. But whoever puts the king down is the winner. That could lead to some really interesting competition.
And if you shoot them, then you get their cards. Like
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, hold it. I want to play this game.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
That does.
It
Oh
get
my
really
gosh.
hectic when the Kings get there.
Side note, I know this from a song we used to have in our comedy show. The odds of winning a game of solitaire aren't good. It's about 1 in 42. I have a spreadsheet. 2 more matchups. One is Moonlighter crossed with Cooking Mama. Moonlighter, for anyone who's unfamiliar, is the game where you play the shopkeeper of an RPG. And at night, when all the heroes are done passing through and buying things, you actually go into the dungeons and get weapons and shit so that you can sell them during the day to all of the heroes that come through the town. Cooking Mama, it's a cooking game.
I think the most obvious thing version is you're running a shop that's a restaurant and you're running out to get ingredients, but you have to adhere to the menu that the chef makes each day or something like that. Like that's how it like randomly procedurally generates. It's like it changes every day. So you have to get chickens one day, but then, cows the next day. And then, like ingredients to like make the dish of the chicken or beef dish.
More specifically, I want it to be a slaughterhouse. Like I want you to have to go around to each pig and each cow with the compressed air gun and just go right into its forehead and kill every single one of them.
Would you call him Friendo right before you did it too?
Yes. I want you to have to be the person who slaughters all the animals for the Cooking Mama restaurant. And you have to do it at night too, and it's all sneaky, or else the animals run away.
Now.
That's what I want.
That's a good one. I like that.
And lastly, we have a pairing that I think I don't want to taint what you might come up with, so I'll save my idea for last. But it's Dead Space crossed with Beat Saber.
Honestly, I want to know what yours is. Go ahead. I want to know what yours is.
Okay, so it's Beat Saber in Oculus Quest 360-degree mode, so it's all around you, and you just have it's horde mode. It's waves of the necromorphs from Dead Space coming at you, and you have to dismember them in rhythm to the music. Mm-hmm. And so you're like, there's a guy coming at you from the front, and you're shooting all of his like glowing pustule spots, or shooting off his legs, so that. So they're coming at you from the front. You have to shoot off their legs because you can hear someone coming from the back, and that will slow them down coming from the front. You turn around, shoot off that guy's arm so he can attack you, kill that guy, turn back around, that guy's back at you, bam, cut off his head with the plasma cutter. This game is going to be fucking great, Holden. Let's make it now. Game Jam. You have this computer science degree basically already. Let's go. Let's make this in VR. You have an Oculus Go. That's sufficient.
Definitely not, but we'll figure it out. I like this idea a lot. You can also have it so that Amplitude. Mm-hmm. Where Amplitude and also Rock Band Unplugged did this as well. We have different lanes, right? Yeah. Now we're not gonna have different lanes because we've already established it's 360. But the different lanes were different instruments. Different weapons are different instruments. So if you switch to a different weapon, then it's like the drums track or something like that, and it changes.
Okay.
That could be kind of cool too, because there's kind of part of the fun of Dead Space was how you could dismantle in different ways with different weapons. Like you could use a little like mining tool, or you could use the big like choss like saw blade like shooter thing. Yeah, Ripper blades. Yeah, that could be dope.
Oh god, I just want to play Dead Space and then now also this game that I made up.
Dude, do you know how bad I want Dead Space 4? Like, I didn't play 2 or 3, but I loved Dead Space 1 so much.
Dead Space 2 is worth playing. Dead Space 3
is great.
I got it for my birthday, and then I played like 3 minutes of it, and then I never went back to it, and I don't remember why.
Oh, poor Dead Space 3. It just wanted to make you happy. That's all it wanted to do.
I still own it digitally on PlayStation 3. That's it. That is it for Game on Game Show, and that is it for episode 182 of Respawn Aim Fire. Thank you, everyone, for listening and for putting up with me screaming at the beginning of the episode and going into a British accent at the end. We hope you enjoyed yourselves. We have a couple of things for you. One, do you remember that part where we put it on you to show us how much you love us so that we might bring you new products? Go to YouTube. Subscribe to us. Go to podcast services. Give us 5 stars. Go to patreon.com/respawnaimfire. Maybe there's going to be a Halloween wallpaper waiting there this week. Who knows? Maybe. That's it. You know what to do. Oh, go play Horizon Zero Dawn. Everyone's eligible to play Horizon. Lots of people should have played it. We're learning now that many people didn't play it yet.
Yeah.
So you have until the end of the month. Please write in with your thoughts on the game, THOTs, that ho over there. I would love to know what everyone thought of the game. We will read them on the air as we talk about it ourselves at the end of the month. Until next time, here's our usual sign-off. Dallas and Matt, get ready. We're going to finish up that Curse of Osiris thing tonight. Hell yeah, badass. Yeehaw!